So today I want to talk about the power of letting go and the power of surrender. So you might be asking, okay, so what is surrendering? What is letting go? Because when you first hear about it, it sounds like something bad. You know, it's like you're putting up a white flag going, I surrender, I give up. You know, and when I first heard about it, I was thinking, how's that a good thing? How's that going to help me? No, I don't want to surrender or let go. I want to do the exact opposite. But actually, that's not the meaning. There's a lot of meanings to words. And what I'm talking about with surrendering and letting go is actually, in another way of looking at it, not being attached to our goals and our expectations. That is one of the most powerful things to practice on and to learn. And when we are able to do that, we are free. We are free in our life. We are free. You see, you think you're free, right? Everybody is pretty much free, right, in the modern day world. However, if we are attached to our goals, we are attached to the outcome of things, we are not free. Okay, let me explain that. Let's say you got a goal that you want to do, and you're going to finish at the end of the week. You got this deadline. Well, now, because you're attached to it, you can't stop working until you finish it. Why? Because if you aren't on track, you feel bad. You feel like, oh man, life isn't going to be good, or I'm not going to be able to go ahead and knock out these other things, and we start to blame ourselves. No, I should be better. And so therefore, we create these goals, and then we become prisoners of our own goals, of our own expectations. This is where we start to burn the midnight candle, working 12 hours, 15 hours, 16 hours, 7 days, 2 weeks at a row, on and on and on. You know, for people that are working hard, that are hustling, everybody has experienced this. Now, I'm not saying that doing that sometimes is okay, but that's only if you really feel like doing it, if it really feels good. But you know, half the time when we're doing that type of work, we aren't actually feeling good about it. We are actually feeling like we are forced to do it, like we don't have a choice. And that is what I mean when I say we are prisoners to our own goals if we are attached, if we don't learn how to let go and how to surrender. When we are surrendering and letting go, we are still working hard. We are still doing the best we can. We are still striving. We are still doing all the same things. The only thing that actually we're not doing is having all of these negative thoughts in our mind and also feeling bad in our body. That's the things that we're not doing. But everything else we can still do. And that's why it's a very complex subject, I feel, to talk about. This idea of letting go and surrendering. We can make videos and videos and videos on this subject because it's such a complex thing, you know? Because somebody would a lot of times think, how do I really strive for something? Because I really want this goal. How do I really go for it while at the same time surrender to it? It almost sounds really contradictory, which is why it's such a good subject to cover. You know, it took me a long time to really have this understanding of it so I can actually make it practical. If not, it's just this idea. Sounds good, but I'm not actually doing it. So when we're surrendering, that means we are not in this, we are not creating this emotional turmoil, this emotion of being stressed and frustrated, this emotion of not being angry. We're not blaming people with our thoughts and mind. We're not creating all of this resistance. All of these things happen because we are so attached to what we want to create. And therefore, when we don't create it, we get mad. We get upset. And so therefore, if we look at our life is constantly going to be goals. We're going to always strive for things, no matter what's happening. No matter how old we are, we're still going to strive for something. We can have a small goal, like I'm going to make it to that restaurant tonight. And what happened if we are attached to our goals, right? We made reservations. Suddenly we got a call saying something happened. The reservation got canceled when we arrived, and now there's a problem. We can't make it to that restaurant. It's such a small thing. Just go somewhere else to eat. But if somebody's attached, and they're used to being attached, what happens? They can get mad. What do you mean my reservation got canceled? I called 3 days in advance. Let me talk to your manager. Let me make a big deal of it. Now this night out that's supposed to have been chilling, relaxing, having fun, turns into this stress to start off with, turns into this resistance, right? because somebody was so attached to going to this restaurant. Such a small thing. But this example goes for everything. And so therefore, if we don't learn to become unattached, when we don't learn to surrender, all the expectations in our life would all make us prisoners of ourselves, prisoners to constantly be in this state of reaction, constantly be creating this unhappiness. But when we learn how to surrender and we learn how to let go, now, no matter what we are actually wanting to accomplish in our life, no matter what the outcome is, we are always happy. We are always joyful, or at the bare minimum, we are always feeling okay. Because let's be realistic, if something really bad happens, we don't expect to be joyful, we don't expect to be super happy. But we can, at the bare minimum, just feel okay, When we feel okay, we're kind of in this neutral state of emotion, right? This neutral state of being. But what's bad is when we dip and we experience all of this emotion and all of these painful feelings. And when our mind just can't stop constantly complaining and thinking, and this stuff like this keeps us up at night, stuff like this keeps taking away our attention. We can't even focus on things that are going on that could be great because our mind is so caught up in all of this negative stuff. That's the power of letting go. So we can ultimately be able to create joy, be able to create peace, a peace of mind, in ourselves. And the thing about letting go, the thing to practice on, is simply to start to watch our thoughts, to become aware of our feelings. I say the first step is, let's go into our mind. When we are wanting to let go, we need to go ahead and make sure that we know why that it's okay to not be attached to this goal. We need to make sense of it in our head. Let's say the simple little thing like the restaurant. So if you are a person, for example, that would actually get upset, that your reservation got canceled, right? So all we have to do is come up with the reasons in our mind why it is okay to go ahead and let go. You'll find that people that are okay with things, that are just kind of chill, you ask them, why are you so chill? They have a reason. Now, whether or not the reason you believe it or not, or it is only the best reason, doesn't matter. It's their truth, and they believe it, and therefore they can use this truth and this belief to be okay with letting go of things, be okay with whatever happens. And so for you, it's to go ahead and come up with the reasons on why it is okay if something doesn't go your way. All right. So with this restaurant, an example would be, well, you know what? I'll just go to that restaurant next time. Or, you know what? I bet there's probably a whole bunch of other restaurants that are really great, that are equal to be as good, so it doesn't matter. Or, you know what? I don't really care because I'm really about celebrating with eating out with you guys. You're with a whole bunch of friends. Whatever the reason is, right? All reasons are made up, and we can make up any reasons. But the importance is to have a reason on why we should let go, on why it is okay if we don't get the outcome that we want. Now, let me come up with another example for, let's say, for work. We got something we're striving on, it's supposed to be knocked out in 2 weeks from now. So now, at the end of 2 weeks, you didn't reach the goal. So now you go, okay, now you have to come up with the reasons on why it is okay, why you don't need to freak out. Well, you know what? We did the best we could. There's some things that came around. It was out of our control. We didn't expect it. Lack of experience. This is our first time doing it. Or, we didn't have the resources. That thing happened. Or, somebody didn't come through and we did the best we could. We come up with those reasons. Therefore, it's okay. Let's go ahead and reevaluate our plans and let's move forward. Let's see if we can knock out this goal in this amount of days. Or let's go ahead and reevaluate. So we need to come up with these mental reasons. And so, by doing so, now we have the logic. Logically, it makes sense to let it go. Now, part 2, the body. Okay? So now, in the body, we practice being calm and being relaxed. Because when we are attached and we get upset about things, while our mind is coming up with all these reasons why we need to be frustrated, our body is equally supporting it by getting tense, by getting strained, and physically tightening up. You'll find we tight up in our hands, we tight up in our shoulders, we tight up in our toes, we tight up in our stomach. all of these places. And remember, this is not a conscious thing. This is something that is a reaction. Our body has become conditioned. Most people's bodies have become conditioned with tightening up when we feel emotions of this turmoil or thoughts of, blame and anger and all this stuff. And we need to consciously relax the body. And so part 2 of this is consciously learning how to relax the body, learning how to let go of the tightness in our muscle, learning how to not clench our hands. I used to be a big clencher, cracking knuckles and all this stuff. Learning how to not clench our jaw, learning how to not grind our teeth, learning how to not clench our eyebrows, learning how to not tighten up our stomach, learning how to not constantly clench our toes when we are talking to somebody or thinking about something, letting it go. This is something that takes practice, just like our mind. Now, the combination of letting go in our body and letting go of the thoughts, clenching those thoughts by having the reasons on why it's okay, on why it's okay to not be attached. The combination of those two things is what's going to create this, is going to allow you to be able to surrender, and allow you to be able to let go. And the reward of doing that is joy. It's being able to feel alive. Because now your happiness, now your joy is not conditioned to how well your work is going, how well things are happening in your life. We can't depend on things always happening the way we want. That's the nature of life. If everything happened exactly like the way you want it to be, then what about me? What about someone else? If everything happened exactly the way you want, then it won't happen the way that person wants, the way I want, the way that person wants, right? So the way life works is like this. You get some of what you want, but not all. I get some of what I want, but not all. That person gets some of what they want, but not all. And so therefore, that's life. And that's how it should be, right? And so therefore, if we look at the nature of that, and we were only happy and only joyful because we're so attached to things that we want, the way that we want it to happen, then our life and our experience and the quality of life is always up and down. But when you learn how to surrender and how to let go, you will now go from up to just a midpoint of neutral and back up. And this is much, much more, it feels so much better, That's how we have a peace of mind. That's how we're able to enjoy everything else in our life and increase the quality of our life. So please try that out. Start to dive into it and start practicing, coming up with the reasons in your mind on why it's okay to let go, and start relaxing and start becoming more calmer in your body. Thanks, guys.